This now, let's bring in Samin Mortazavi. He is the founder of Pax Law Cooperation, practicing in family and immigration law, joining us from North Vancouver. Samin, thanks for joining us on CTV News Channel. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
Your first reaction to the compensation that has been announced by the Prime Minister today of $25,000 to the families of those affected. You are, of course, representing some of those families. Your first thought?
Well, it's a tragic loss. The loss of lives, even one is too many. And when we talk about human life, and to hear that the Canadian government stands by the victims of this tragedy and stepping up to help, it's always appreciated.
What are the families saying about this? Because like we heard from the Prime Minister, this is just the immediate relief that we are speaking of. Iran is yet to give any promise whether or not it will compensate. What are the families saying?
Well, I have two clients actually who are related, who had relatives who passed away in this plane crash. The families mostly are dealing with their loss at this moment. I don't think many of them are thinking of financial terms. But of course, I gave an interview to the Canadian press just last week, and we were talking about the states and how to deal with the states of the deceased, and the fact that we're dealing with two jurisdictions here, the Iranian jurisdiction and the Canadian, that could cause challenges. On the financial side of things, there is no political relationship between Canada and Iran at the moment, and due to sanctions, a movement of money from Iran to from Canada to Iran, or vice versa, could be very difficult.
That's correct. We understand how the victims' families are stuck in this geopolitical tension, between all these countries at this given point of time, because not just Canada, as we know, several other nations are also affected with this tragedy. But Samin, tell us, what are the legal and logistical challenges the families are facing right now?
Well, there are a couple of things that we need to consider. Number one is what we call, there is competing jurisdictions. So for assets which are in Iran, the Iranian law will have jurisdiction, and for the assets in Canada, the Canadian law will prevail. And the first step in dealing with the states of the deceased is to go through a process called probate, which is a process for validating the will of the deceased. So after the will is located, or if the deceased died without a will, again, they have to go through the process of probate, and in order to do that, they have to apply to two different legal systems, and that could create some challenges. One of the cases that I was thinking of is a deceased who has no person in Canada to follow after the processes involved, and let's say they have, for example, a sister or brother in Iran who wants to apply to the court to become the executor. One of the challenges would be to get a temporary resident visa and actually fly to Canada to follow up with the process, which luckily I've heard that the Canadian government have decided to implemented a special policy for this particular circumstance and expedite the giving of visa to these family members who have to come to Canada to follow with the legal procedures.
Right. So many challenges and difficulties that they face right now. It seems it's going to be a long road to this healing journey. We'll have to leave it at that for the moment. Samin Mortazavi, thank you so much for joining us, the founder of the Pax Law Cooperation.
Good to be with you.